I just do this sort of short over here thing. Alright, so background to Silverstripe, it started back in 2000. It was founded by 3 geeks who absolutely love the web, and they're amazing people. They still work as our CEO and our head of sales. As a result of that, it grew up as quite a technical company. So we have 60 odd Silverstripers plus offices in London and across Australia. And 44 of those people are developers or started in development roles. So our CEO, our CTO, our development manager all started life as developers. And when I started at Silverstripe, don't worry, keep going. The slides are just there for decoration, let's be honest. When I started at Silverstripe, I was the only marketer, and there wasn't a marketer for a few years before me. Things have got better, as you can tell, probably because you can read the next slide anyway. There's 2 marketers, Sarah. Andrew is also in our marketing team, joined us, and a whole lot of awesome marketers moved in on level 4. So 101 Courtney Place is a cool place to be as a marketer.
Oh crap, I don't know how you do it. Present. Let's try.
Yeah. The magic. Oh, why does it take the full screen? We tested it. Yay! So, technology is hey. Love how all the tech marketers have problems with tech. It's just me, I swear. So, moving on, I wanted to, who here works with developers? Yay, okay, cool. I feel like I'm talking to people that already understand some of my pains. So, who recognises these campaigns? Yes. Yay! So, these are John Lewis, who is a UK retailer. Each year around Christmas, they spend over £1 million creating a long-form TV commercial. They're really great commercials, and I would say go and look them up. Again, film if you cry. But they usually have small animals, small children, or both together. And they're pretty much like the spirit of Christmas. You know, you can't help but feel all that kind of warm and fuzzy when you watch them. So this one here with the moon, and this is a single man on the moon. He's very lonely. Little girl sends him a package for Christmas with balloons. It's heartwarming. Just launched a week or so ago in the UK, and a London-based developer took to our company Slack channel to kind of express his concerns with this type of marketing. And he quoted an American author called David Foster Wallace. Don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a little bit cynical. And I'll let you read through this, but the short story of it is that when advertising pretends to be art or pretends to be entertainment, he believes it was like someone who smiles at you because they simply want something. And this sort of deception is what leads to human despair. It's very upsetting. And to be honest, when you work with developers, you hear this sort of thing about marketing a lot. They're not particularly known for their love of marketing. And when you go from a marketing-centric company, like I did before Silverstripe, this can be quite affronting. I spent the first couple of months feeling like someone was kicking my puppy every time I heard a marketer talk about developer talking about marketing. But to be honest, we've got something to own up to as well. We do sometimes screw up a little bit. And John Lewis releases a merchandise range along with their Christmas campaign each year, and this one was for last year. Even though it went for £95, the plush toys sold out within 24 hours of the campaign launching, and there were 39 other pieces of merchandise that were penguin related, including umbrellas and onesies. So to be fair, as marketers, sometimes we've got to own up and be like, yeah, we're trying to sell you stuff. It's what we do. So how can I give a talk about marketing tips from people who hate marketing? It's kind of an odd thing to talk about. But as I was writing this and over the last 18 months working at Silverstripe, I've realised that some of this is just a lack of empathy, both from developers to marketers and marketers to developers, and we're actually not poles apart. The developers I work with are some of the most amazing creative problem solvers I've ever met. And a lot of the time they're actually solving the same problems that we are as marketers. And we can learn a lot from the processes and the methodology that developers use and apply that to marketing to be better marketers. So one of the challenges that I notice that developers come up against all the time is this kind of perfect triangle of I want something good, I want it fast, I want it cheap. And you know, it's often quoted about design and marketing as well. How do we deliver the most value? How do we do more with less? And the lesson that I've learned from working with developers is that continuous improvement is going to win over perfection every time. And this is actually one of our company values at Silverstripe, and to be honest, it's the one that took me the longest to really embrace. And the reason for that is because I've spent my entire career, and quite probably my entire life, believing that perfectionism is one of my greatest assets. And it takes a while, and it takes being thrown into a tech marketing role to realise that being a perfectionist is not very helpful. And in fact, it's really slow. And I think we can all identify with this whole idea of spending weeks and days and months crafting these perfect marketing plans, and then realizing as you finish them that they're completely out of date already. And in the marketing environment that we deal with today, it's just not okay to be a perfectionist. And this isn't like a license to be sloppy, this isn't a license to print typos. What this is saying that sometimes it's better to get something out the door and into the hands of users and buyers and getting feedback than it is to spend months polishing and perfecting. So how this is dealt with in software development is a process called Agile. Who here has heard of Agile? Cool. Who here works in an Agile team? Cool. That's awesomely more people than I thought. So I won't need to explain everything about it, but basically Agile is just changing working practices from big long projects to small iterative cycles. So if we were to build a website as a marketer, in the past we might have spent a whole year working on that website, getting every page polished and every page perfect, and we might have this massive big launch date where everything goes live and it's make or break. Either this website's going to be awesome or customers are just going to hate it. And what happens with Agile is we changed it up a little bit. So we recently worked with NZTA on their site, and what they did is they put their driver licensing page live as a beta version before any other part of the website. Their intention was always to do a huge, massive, full website redevelopment, but they just started with one page, and they let people interact with that page, and they learned from that, they learned about the design and the UI, and then they implemented that on the next pages, and they just slowly rolled them out. And so how does this apply to marketing? Well, the thing that I've learned from developers is that a lot of little experiments are much better than one big bet. And I've come from a background where I used to spend 20 to 30% of my media budget in the first 2 weeks of April. And that is just how mass marketing is purchased in New Zealand, and it still is how you purchase TV today. But it does mean that you're really locked in, and that if things change in your market, it's really hard to react to those things. So I would say try and think about how you can start working in this way instead. So it's really not a hard thing to bring into your work cycle, and you just have to start with small experiments. So if you're always releasing a blog, what could be the little tweak that you do in the blog the next week? And how do you measure whether that tweak worked or not? And one of the things I think we need to move away from as marketers is this idea that marketing is totally, that marketing is totally 100% art. Because I think in the age of digital channels and accountability, it's no longer acceptable to think about it as purely an art. We're scientists now as well. And as scientists, we have to act in a scientific way, and we have to conduct our experiments in the way that a scientist would. So thinking back to school science fairs, when you run an experiment, you have to have a hypothesis. You need to have some sort of idea of why something's happening so that you can test it. You need to have a control to find out what's happening now so that when you make a change, you know whether it's worked or it's actually had the opposite effect. Of course, you have to have some results. And the most important thing is you have to have a conclusion. And we spend a lot of time as marketers measuring things and not a lot of time reflecting on what that data is telling us to do differently in the future. And I'll explain a little experiment in this next lesson section to illustrate that. So the second challenge that I think we share with developers is it working? And I think we tend to think of software development as really black and white and marketing as more shades of grey. And I was presenting this section to a developer yesterday as a rehearsal, and they went, yeah, software development's not black and white. Like, that's what we tell you all it is. We say, yeah, we totally know if the code's working or not. But in reality, software developers spend huge amounts of time writing tests and debugging code and trying to find out if it's working or not. And as marketers, we run into the same problem. So the second lesson that I would have is be driven by data and not opinions. And I think Jess's talk really illustrated that, where a lot of our assumptions and a lot of our gut feel is quite often wrong. So, I don't know, who's seen this quote before? Sweet. So half of my advertising is wasted, I just don't know what half. Now, this is something that gets thrown in marketers' faces all the time, particularly by developers, as kind of a reason why marketing is sort of this weird grey profession where everyone kind of just makes stuff out and throws some money at it and hopes it works. So John Wanamaker was a US retailer and is largely credited for this. He actually died in 1922. So I think it's time for us to go, okay, that was alright in 1922, it's no longer acceptable to act like this as a marketer today. But when you start to say, let's be data-driven as marketers, it's really freaking scary. Because we've all spent hours getting lost in Google Analytics, and it's this never-ending tunnel where you're like, oh, I started looking at one number and that's led to another number, and it can get quite overwhelming. So my advice would be to start with one number, and just think really seriously. If you could change one number, one metric in your business, what would be the one number that you would either increase or decrease that would have the biggest effect on how successful your company would be? And I'll give you an example. So Silverstripe open source software, we have one metric that we're constantly looking at. Does anyone want to guess what it would be? Oh, come on, someone guess. Ah, that's actually really good. I was like, I'm totally going to set everyone up and I'm good. That's a good one, and we actually look at that a lot for our customer support and our bespoke teams. So 770 Net Promoter Score, and I think I heard, was it downloads? Someone else say something else in downloads? Yeah. Because I tricked you out of this, totally what I wanted you to say. It's one of those like leading questions, I'm sorry. Anyway, the one metric that we look at a lot with open source software is actually the number of new developers watching our online lessons. And you may ask, why is it not software downloads? Like, we're a software company, surely the number of people downloading our software is the most important thing. For us, because we're open source and our software is free, downloads is kind of like our engagement metric. It's really nice, it makes everyone feel good. When it's really high, everyone pats themselves on the back, but it can be dimmed. And a lot of times, higher downloads doesn't actually result in any money for the company. So because we're open source software, there's no barrier to downloading. So as a marketing department, we just plaster our whole website with download it, it's free, go on, what's the worst that could happen? And then people wouldn't do nothing with the software. The other thing that we could do to game the system is we could just release software more often. So instead of having a quarterly update, we could split that into 3 monthly updates, and suddenly I've tripled the number of software downloads I have. So what we need to look at when we're thinking about what's the metric that makes the most difference is how does it align to our company's strategy, and what does changing that number mean for us? So changing this number means a lot to us because we're expanding into the UK, into Europe. We're trying to get new developers actually using our software. So having them download it is step one. Having them actually use it, learn how to use it, and make a website out of it, that's far more valuable for us. So based on that being our metric, we run experiments. So this is one of the experiments we ran. We plotted out the pages between our homepage and people actually watching and engaging with our online lessons. And we found that the landing page of our lesson section had a really poor conversion rate. It was only converting 1 in every 4 people that came, and we were sending thousands of people to this page. And we had some hypotheses. So we thought maybe it's because the traffic from the homepage was cold, like they didn't know what they were clicking on, what to expect. Maybe it's because there's no clear start point. It's pretty hard to see at the back. So just to explain, this is the latest lesson. So if you were new to this page, you would have seen like lesson 15 or 18. It'd be kind of like an advanced topic. And there was no expectation of outcome. You didn't really know what the benefit of watching these lessons would be. So we ran an experiment and we tested against the control. And what we did is we set some expectations on what the lessons were designed to do. We took the first 7 lessons and we packaged them into a series which said, at the end of 1 hour you will know this. And we really spelled out exactly what you could expect for the lessons. And this increased our conversion rate on this page to 75%. So we're pretty happy with that test. But like I said earlier, we had an idea of what was happening, we had a control, we tested it, we had results. But the thing about Agile is when you reflect back on that and you say, what have we learned from this? So we took these learnings and we've changed the way that we actually design our lessons when we produce them, and we put them into bite-sized lessons. And instead of just having a lesson that comes out every week that's just a continuing circle, we now say, hey, we're releasing 3 lessons. At the end of that, you're going to know this. And this might surprise you given that we're a tech company, but Lo-Fi wins for us. So this is my other challenge to you. If you know what your metric is, put it up visible in your office, put it somewhere where your entire team can see it, make sure it's something that everyone's talking about all the time. So this is a really messy and not at all perfectionist happy whiteboard. Basically it tracks Google Analytics as a funnel where we've got some like conversion rates here. Down the bottom, each week we put up from Google Analytics what was happening on those pages. And I tell you, this is the only thing I've ever seen that has made a developer excited and high-five me about marketing. So when you asked me to change that landing page, it did And I was like, yeah, I know. It's amazing, it's magic. So it was pretty exciting. And then the other thing about having metrics top of mind and lo-fi is every time we walked past this board, it's in our team area, we'd write things, it's my writing here, it's things like, hey, at this page, what if we had YouTube syndication? At this page, what if we did a blog here? It just means that you're always talking about how do we run another experiment on this metric? How do we keep changing it? And so the final challenge that I see that we share with developers is how do we build software that users will love? And to put this in a marketer's context, how do we write ads that really resonate with the people we want to talk to? How do we really connect with people? And so my lesson from working with developers is that your customers are not stereotypes. Developers get, I'm going to make some stereotypes about developers, and I'm allowed to because I work very closely with them. They don't love talking to people, they love coding. So they want to be coding, they don't want to be talking to users and all that sort of stuff. They want you to tell them what they need to build, and then they want to get to building it. And so quite often this results with them having this kind of vague idea of what the user is, instead of going, oh yeah, I totally know what they need because I've got a user story pro. And marketers, we should know better, but we fall into this trap all the time, and I'll show you what I mean by this. Who here has seen a target audience description like this? Be honest, who's written one? Definitely. This is, again, going back, they really mean to mass advertising today, but this is how you book TV in New Zealand. So you might go, I'm going to target mothers, aged 25 to 40, because this is how we age people. Household income, 60,000 and above. And the problem with this is that it really depersonalizes that customer group. It doesn't really tell me anything about what her struggles are, what her problems are, like how, who does she go to when she needs information. It doesn't really help me market better to her. So if we were to imagine that we were selling a product, an espresso coffee machine, this type of thing really doesn't help me understand how to sell that to her better. And so we might make some assumptions based on what we know about mums, like, yeah, there's kids everywhere and they're always having to run from here to here and they're going to have to pick them up and so they're going to be really busy. So how about we tell her how fast an espresso can make a coffee for her? And we'll talk about convenience and speed and all those sorts of things. But the thing is that we've tricked ourselves with a stereotype because we know a little bit about this person and we've made a whole lot of assumptions to fill in the gaps that we don't know. So who knows this lovely TV mum? Yay! This is Lorelei Gilmore, she's from the Gilmore Girls. And oh my gosh, the Gilmore Girls are coming back for a couple of episodes and I'm totally a very exciting 16-year-old girl right now. That's my news update. So, if we were to imagine instead that our customer is Lorelei and we were to create a persona based on her, we're going to be able to kind of fill in some of the psychological details that we would have actually lacked if we'd just stuck with our stereotype. And the idea of a persona is it lets you step into someone's shoes and see your products and your services from their perspective and imagine things with their problems. And if your personas or target audience descriptions don't have that sort of level of empathy in them, then they're really not helping you do that. So if we talk to Lorelei, which, to write a good persona you actually have to go and talk to the customer, we might find out that she's a single mother, teenage daughter's about to go to college, she lives in a small rural town, self-made businesswoman. But none of this helps me with my Nespresso marketing. So we might have to actually start asking her some questions about her relationship with coffee and how she drinks coffee and what problems coffee solves for her. And then we might start to find out some things that surprise us. So we might start to find out that coffee for her isn't just another beverage. It's an addiction and an obsession. It's tied intrinsically to her social connections. It's part of her daily routine. We might find out that every morning in her kitchen she makes herself a filter coffee. On the way to work she stops in at her local diner and has a delightful conversation with Luke. And then during the day she's very busy and she runs around and she has a few takeaway coffees from, I don't know where that comes from, she just always has a cup in her hand. I haven't talked to Lorelei, I'm making up assumptions here, but you would actually talk to her. And other Lorelei's, not just one person. And you get quotes like, I want my coffee in an IV. And that's the sort of thing that if you have that in your persona description and one of your product development people reads it, they're actually going to imagine this emotional connection. And either way, you won't be talking to her as if it's just another beverage. And what you might find out too is that Lorelei doesn't just see coffee as this thing that she gets on the go. It's actually a moment where she can kind of slow down and take a little time for herself. And by telling her that she can get her fastest caffeine fix ever, we've actually just said, hey, we want to make your break shorter. So we might actually, after talking to Lorelei and getting a bit more empathy with her, we might start to write ads like, take a moment for you. It's never just coffee. But again, we've just made some hypotheses. So what we'd have to do is test those against the original ad and see if it does resonate more with her. But at least we've got some empathy for her relationship with coffee now. And I think it's our job as marketers to create empathy and also to help spread that through the rest of the company. Because a really great persona means that when you're talking to your customer support team, or your sales team, or your product development team, or your developers, that you're all talking about the same person and you're all talking about how you solve the same problems together. So it really gets your whole company on the same page. And I'm just going to finish up by talking about probably my least favourite stereotype in the entire world. And this is definitely because, you know, I work in tech, and lots of people put their hands up when I said, do you work with developers? This is the stereotype I'd really like us to try and work on overcoming, is this idea that either you're technical or you're everyone else. And the reason why I think that this is really dangerous is because we stop kind of recognising that both sides of the party contribute really well and that both sides have their strengths. And it kind of seems like technical's the only one brings most to the party. I read a really interesting article by Richard Hoover, who's the founder of Product Hunt, just a couple of days ago, and he was comparing this relationship between technical and non-technical roles to bread. And he said, you know, startups don't fail because they can't build product. They fail because they can't get people to come to the product. And it's like flour. Flour is like technical people. You've got no shortage of it, but unless you add yeast and you allow that bread to rise and become something better, it's just really crappy tasting bread. So he kind of reframed this technical, non-technical in terms of technical interaction. And I think as marketers, it's our job to kind of overcome this barrier and start to, I don't know, get over this whole perception of half my marketing is wasted, but I don't know which half. And start actually owning up and being the people that drive change in our organisations. And why I'm really, really passionate about this is because of stats like this. So in US Fortune 1000 companies, there are 34 marketing directors at a board level. So that's 0.1% of all of the boards in US Fortune 1000 companies are from marketing backgrounds. And I think the problem is that as marketers, we've allowed this whole idea of half my marketing is wasted and I don't know which half to proceed for too long. And now it's time for us to say, this is how I drive change, this is how I change metrics in my company, and this is how I stop being a cost center and start producing money for the company. And I really like this quote, and so I thought I'd finish up with saying that I think as marketers, we need to hold on to our creativity. We need to be part artists and lead teams to develop inspiring campaigns. We need to be part scientist, analysing and uncovering value from huge volumes of variable data, and part politician, building relationships and becoming great communicators. So that's my challenge, and I think I have talked for lots of time. And we didn't do any Q&A for Jess, and she had to leave to go to a kids thing. I feel really bad about that now, but do you have any questions? That's all. So, are there any questions for me? I was going to like make prizes for this question.
I'm interested in what sort of user research you do when you talk about talking to customers and stuff. How do you lead that? Do you just go out email people or
so we try not to embark on like massive user research campaigns because they tend to be the sort of thing that happens once a year and are very expensive. We do things like we had a recent relaunch and I just called a whole bunch of marketing managers from this group and went, hey, we're launching this new part of our website, can I take you through it? So we do a lot of in-person testing. And we also have quite a wide open source community, so we might send them out online surveys and things, but we just try and keep it as easy as possible. Another thing that you can do for that is talk a lot to your sales team, so on the coalface, your customer support team, look at the feedback that you're getting from them, and you can also kind of just dive into your Google Analytics and social media stats as well. Does that answer the question? Yeah. But just try and keep it as, again, like small experiments, like go and talk to 5 people, and see what they have to say, and that will lead to 5 more. And yeah. Good stuff.
what's kind of your top tip for starting to establish change with the development teams that maybe haven't worked with marketing in kind of a positive fashion in the past?
Oh yeah, so that's been like my life. My top tip, and I think the most successful thing we did, is taking things, is talking to people in the same way that they talk. So not talking kind of fluffy and airy-fairy and having metrics and going, the reason I keep asking you to change this page is because it's going to lead to this. And also, I was telling someone earlier that was already slightly longer than I was supposed to talk to it for, but I started with 6 lessons, and one of the other lessons that I had was give a shit. And what I mean by that is like be actively interested in what they're doing, because that's the first step to engagement and empathy. So I learned how to code recently, and it's really bloody hard, and I'm not going to keep doing it. But just the fact that I made that effort, and I always make like developers, you know, headphones on all that time, all that sort of stuff. You've got to just like make an effort, really. Any other questions?
Apart from the whiteboard, because I found that really interesting, like I really want to try that at our work, but was there any other kind of thing that you found that really got through to sort of working with the developers? Obviously, like you say, maybe change your language, but was there anything else?
So I work with 2 teams which are heavily development focused, and the other tip I would say is give them context. So developers are really curious, and they don't like this whole idea of, can you build me this? Build me this. I just build it, because it kind of, they're very like, well, I don't know why I'm building this, and I want to know why. So I would say a good thing to start with is actually like a whiteboard session. We usually start, and we had one today because I wanted Intercom put on our front end of our website, and I went through like, this is what we're going to do with this information. This is what's going to happen after you put the software here. And I think it's actually really important to get better outcomes as well, because quite often the developer will go, okay, you told me you wanted that button there, but if they don't know what that connects to and why that button's there, then they might build it in a way that's completely different to what you're expecting. So just try and have those conversations.
You might take them through the whole process, I guess, about what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try and get on the same page. So for marketers, it's like learn a bit about tech so you can kind of talk in the same language, but also for me, find like, so I don't speak software development, and they don't speak marketing, so we find a way to meet in the middle with slightly different language, and so quite often it's whiteboards and flowcharts. I go to a lot of tech conferences, very like full-on PHP development conferences, and I go to the talks because I think it's important, but 90% of the time I have no idea what I'm saying. They could be speaking in German. So one thing that I found is I started doing sketch notes, which are like visual notes taking.
Pictures, they look amazing.
Thank you. But it means that developers have a reason to talk to me, because they're like, oh, I saw your note taking, and that was really cool. And otherwise they just wouldn't, because I'm female and I'm marketing and it's scary as hell. And vice versa, I have something to talk to them about. They're like, oh, I got this point, and how did that connect to something else? Yeah, that's my advice. And I'd also say it's really, really hard working with developers, and just don't take things personally. Like, yeah. If they tell you that something's really shit, they're not saying it because they hate you, they're just saying it because they don't like the thing. So, yeah.
On the flip side, is there anything that you would recommend to a developer to engage marketing to become more data-driven?
Is there anything that I would recommend to a developer to help marketing become more data-driven? Yeah, I think as marketers, we can't learn enough about technology to stay ahead of the curve, and I think it's about getting them excited about why you're doing things and then getting them on board to help you with it as well. So it will take me like 5 days to learn a new piece of software and how it works and stuff, but it takes our CEO like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and he's like, it's already, I get emails like, hey, I thought we were going to use Intercom, how about you do like an analysis? And then 2 minutes later I get an email from Intercom, and I'm like, did you just set it up on our entire site? And he's like, yeah, I just wanted to play with it. So I'd say my advice is like get them excited about what you're doing with the metrics and the changes and things, and then get them on your team, get them like wanting to participate in it as well, because we can't really keep up with the rate of change without developers being excited and being part of that change as well. Cool. I'm happy to talk to people afterwards.